very, very excited to have this work session with you guys today. I think um, this will be just a nice way to kind of show you more about small news, show you how to write an opinion piece, because I think a lot of people that are presented with this idea, they kind of have this roadblock of, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. So I'm hoping that this presentation can help you guys with that. So yeah, Sashni already gave a wonderful explanation of what small news is, but if you haven't visited our website, this picture here kind of just shows you what an issue looks like each week, like at the top. And it's really meant to help you guys, share not only your stories. We write a lot of stories about so many small business owners that we work with, which has been a joy to share, but also for you guys to write as well. And that's kind of where Small Opinions comes in. Um, and this is an example of what a Small Opinions piece looks like once it's live with the issue that it's going to be live with. So kind of a quote from you from within that article that you wrote. And these pieces get a lot of traction. A lot of our readers love reading the small opinions pieces because they are reading, opinions from people that are very similar to them, in terms of owning a business and how they feel about the small business space in their community. A lot of you have so many similarities, and I think these small opinion pieces really help you realize what those similarities are. Um, and it's obviously also, as Sashni mentioned, a way to build, your business, your credibility, and we get thousands of readers a month. So these pieces really do, they get a lot of traction, which is nice. And we're never like, it's never pay to play. This is completely free for you. It's truly just to help you get your voice out there more. Um, and then some things that Small Opinions isn't. It's not a place for overly promotional content or like a sales pitch, but it also doesn't really have to be too formal. We do link out to your website. You have a bio on Small News. You get all of the traffic that we get, you could also get to your site. So in a way, it's kind of promotional, but in the way that you write it, you don't want to write it in a promotion-y way, if that makes sense. Um, but they are, pieces that you should have fun with and that you are getting to really talk about something that you're passionate about, and it gets to be published and it gets, shared on our LinkedIn and our Instagram, etc. Like it's a way for you to actually get your voice out there, which is it's one of my favorite columns on Small News. Um, and some more things of what you shouldn't do. You don't want to be too vague. You want to be almost bold enough to really state, like, this is what my opinion is, this is how I feel about it. You also, Sashini mentioned AI. You don't want to use tools like ChatGPT to write it for you because at the end of the day, that kind of makes your voice lost. And really, you want your voice to shine through on these pieces. And if there are instances where you're like, I don't know what to write, or maybe I just have a draft, that's when you can email me and I can work with you to edit your piece, to kind of fix your focus a little bit if you feel like maybe your topic isn't the greatest it could be. Our team is 100% there for you to help you with topic ideas, editing your piece. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And you don't need to be a writer to write something meaningful. I think that is the biggest point I want you to take from today is that, like, as long as you have a perspective on something, a story, a belief, and you're passionate about it, writing this small opinions piece could help someone else that feels the same way. So really, if you're still super struggling with how do I even start? When you're writing an opinion piece, there are these five simple steps that you can follow. So each piece kind of has the same flow, but doesn't always have to have this flow. This is really for if you're super stuck and you kind of want to write it in like segmented ways and then put it all together. So those five steps would be the hook, the problem or your point of view, your experience with that problem or point of view, what advice you have, what your perspective is, what your takeaway is, and then any like closing thought or even a call to action. For example, if you're writing about a law that was put into place in your community and it affects small business owners, your call of action at the end could be to email or um give your government, your local government a call, write them a letter, tell them how you feel about this law. So it could be things like that, or it could just be something like, this is how I think about it, kind of like a summary of what your small opinion piece was. Um, and again, your piece doesn't have to follow this exact format, but it does make it easier if you're stuck to write of it in this way. So to explain these, the hook is really like something that will get your audience to keep reading. You want to start bold, you want to have some kind of surprising statement or something that you feel will hook people in and they will continue to read your piece. So some examples of that is AI isn't taking your job, but it's probably changing it. AI is a very big topic right now. So me, if I was reading a piece and I was a small business owner, that would definitely keep me reading. Another one is nobody warned me that running a small business would feel like being the entire HR department, legal team, and janitor all before lunch, which I'm sure a lot of us can relate to. You know, being a small business owner isn't just one job, sometimes it's 50 jobs. So something like that as well. It's kind of humorous, but also that other small business owners will be able to relate and they'll still want to keep reading your piece. So with that, we're going to do our first little live writing session. Columbo, if you could put 2 minutes on the clock, we are just going to try to write your hook. So you want to write maybe a paragraph about the biggest challenge you see small business owners facing right now in your community, something you're passionate about, something you want to write about. Okay, so number two, this is stating your point of view. So some of you kind of did it in the hook, but this is kind of just where you would elaborate on it more. You want to keep it clear, but you also want to think about what would help you as a small business owner if you were reading this piece. And I think that kind of helps shape your point of view. Some examples would be, small business owners shouldn't be expected to compete with Amazon level speed, like Chandra's idea with the Amazon piece. Marketing agencies are failing small businesses by overpromising results, or we need to talk about cash flow without shame. And a lot of those, there are a couple sentences, but this is kind of where you would do maybe a paragraph or two of diving deeper into some of these examples. So now, Columbo, if you could, 2 minutes on the clock again. We'll do the point of view. What do you believe about this challenge, and what do you think should be done? Okay, perfect.
Sarah,
Oh, yes.
Sarah,
Go ahead.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Um, could you clarify a little bit the difference between the hook and the POV, the point of view?
Yeah, so the hook, it's it's similar in content in terms of yes, you're stating your opinion, but the hook is like the way that you're grabbing your reader's attention. So it's punchier, it's a really, really bold statement. And then the point of view is more of like those next few paragraphs of really going into why you feel the way you feel in the hook. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Okay, so after your point of view, you talk about your experience. And in some ways, this can also kind of be meshed in with your point of view. But this is where you really talk about, Chandra, for example, you could say, oh, Amazon, I get 80% of my sales from there. Like it is a great platform for me, but this is the experience I've had. This is what I think needs to be changed. So this can either be a like next step in your article, or it can kind of be really throughout the article. But it's where you kind of talk about why the topic you've chosen matters so much to you. Maybe you had an experience where you learned something the hard way, you had a failure that taught you a lesson, you had some kind of like breakthrough moment. And this section should make your piece feel really relatable and honest and human. I think this is really where you're going to get other small business owners feeling a connection to your piece and to your journey, which I think is so special with Small Opinions. We had one piece a few weeks ago written about why someone's 1 year sabbatical was actually an amazing thing that they did for their small business and why it made them grow their business. And that piece was so incredible because you could kind of feel where he was coming from. You could feel why he took the sabbatical. So things like that, it kind of just makes your piece have a bit more meat, let's say, and helps it become more relatable. Um, so now this time I'm giving you a bit more time, 4 minutes, because this is like the meat of the story. But you can write about a specific moment, a challenge related to your topic that you've faced, anything that will kind of make this article feel like your own almost. Perfect. Okay, so number four, this is really like this is the value section. This is kind of almost where you bring together your opinion and your experience. Again, this is probably something that's going to be sprinkled throughout and not exactly in a one, two, three, four step. But this is really important, especially tying it to the last section of, you know, here's what I learned, and here's how I think other small business owners who are dealing with this can navigate this. Or if I were starting my business over today and taking what I've learned, this is what I would do instead. Or this is what I would do better. So this kind of goes back to some silver lining values of being others oriented. So this is kind of where you want to think, how can I really help other small business owners that may be in my same spot. Um, so we are going to now do 2 minutes on the clock. This is really where you'd like offer your advice. If someone was going through this, or if someone's just feeling the way that you're feeling, this is the advice that you would offer them. This is what you would say, hey, I've learned this as a small business owner, and I think you can learn this as well. Okay, so the last piece is your closing thought. Again, this is probably very similar to your to offering advice, but it's kind of like you're just tying everything up with a bow. You're circling back to your hook. You're saying something that will leave your readers thinking after they've read your piece. And you could also do a call to action. For example, if we want strong local economies, we need to stop expecting small businesses to operate like giants. Or your values are your strategy. Start there. So it can be very simple, it can be very complex, just kind of whatever you feel is right, to kind of close out your piece. That's what this section is about. So we will do our last 2 minutes on the clock. Close it out with a sentence or two. What is one simple takeaway that you want your readers to walk away remembering after reading your piece? Yes, you can send your final piece to me. You can send me an email if you feel like you don't have a final piece, but you want to, explore a topic more. You want me to look at a draft, give you feedback. I can do that as well. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what happens next. You can either use this submission form, if you feel like your piece is like good to go, you're ready for me to edit it. Or if you want feedback, you can also email me. I look at every submission, I edit every submission. I work alongside all of you to kind of make your piece ready for publication. And then once it is, we kind of schedule it into our little editorial calendar. And we will let you know when it will actually be published. Because small news kind of it's a month by month thing. But yeah, that's the next steps.